All right, we are here live at PAX 2010, standing in the LucasArts booth, where the majority of it seems to be dedicated to everyone's favorite upcoming MMO, The Old Republic.
Yeah.
And standing with me is Blaine Christine from BioWare, and Blaine, can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do on the project?
You bet. Thanks for pronouncing my name correctly. That doesn't always happen, so I appreciate that. So yeah, Blaine Christine, I'm a senior producer at BioWare based out of Austin, and my primary duty is live producer, which basically means I am helping to make sure that the game is ready for launch. So I'm in charge of testing efforts, I'm in charge of basically anything customer facing goes through me.
Great, okay, super, that's great. We just got a few questions. You know, obviously a lot of fans have been attached to the game like glue, you know, since day one. So a lot of the questions we have to do with, you know, community, maybe a little bit more detail-oriented on the stuff we know. Not anything like we don't know, hopefully.
Right.
We'll wait for that tomorrow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So, first question, or first few, is about advanced classes.
Okay.
All right. Recently, obviously, announced all the names of the other advanced classes at Gamescom, right?
Yep.
So that was good to know. They're being billed as classes, you know, full classes. Is there any more you can say about that in terms of, you know, to explain the depth that might be there? A lot of folks seem to have the perception that it's just a spec. And could you say any more about that to kind of clear that up? Or
yeah, I would say it's a little bit more than that. And the reason for that is basically like as you choose these advanced classes or specializations, you know, as you level up, I mean, it literally does change the base abilities of your class. So it's like you may start out as a Jedi Knight and, you know, feels a little bit like a melee tank, but then once you choose separate paths, for instance, the Guardian, I mean, you're a little bit more like Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars. So you're wearing heavier armor, you're at the front of the battle, so you actually become the true melee tank.
Right.
Whereas if you take the other specialization, which is our Sentinel, you can dual wield lightsabers, you're going to specialize in lightsaber combat, lighter armor, so you're really more melee DPS. So it just sort of changes, you know, your overall ability set, armor set, whether or not, what type of weapons you can wield, so
right.
It's pretty in-depth.
So right, more to it than just a few talent points. There's
exactly.
a lot more to it.
Yeah.
So there's sort of a follow-up to that. So if you go one way or the other, I know one of the sort of highlights of the Old Republic is, I think, accessibility, flexibility, and grouping. If you are, say, you know, take your Jedi Knight in the role of a Guardian, is that the only role you can fill in a group as a tank, or would you be able to fill out another role?
That's a great question. I think primarily the advanced classes are what we're saying allow you to sort of mix and match.
Okay.
We haven't really gotten into details on how respec will work, but obviously you could potentially respec to get a different advanced class. But yeah, really your advanced classes are the things that allow you to, for instance, as a smuggler, go into underworld healing and then become sort of a healer class.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So will you be able to? I don't know. Maybe just unclear. Will you be able to respec your advanced classes or respec within the advanced class choice?
We haven't revealed any more details on
Gotcha.
that. So, and honestly, it's still in development. So
Gotcha.
even any details I gave you would probably change between now and launch anyway.
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
But the goal is, you have it exactly right, is that we want people to be able to find the people they want to make a group that's effective quickly and easily.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Super. Okay. Advanced class levels. You know, I think it's been talked about at one point or another that's the advanced class is chosen at level 10. That could probably change, maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
What's the reason behind, if they're truly sort of different classes, maybe different archetypes, the choice to let it be a choice in the game as opposed to the beginning of the game at character creation? What was behind that, do you think?
So I think there's sort of two answers there. One is a design answer, which is just in terms of players experiencing the game. We want to allow them to get into the game and have some time with the character before they really decide. They want to see it. They need to be able to see how the game plays before they can make that type of decision. I think, right? So if you go in as a Jedi Knight, you want to get a feel for how the Jedi Knight operates before you decide how to branch out. And then I think from a story perspective, you know, just literally it is, we begin as a Padawan and you're training, right? You are a Jedi from the beginning, right? But you're learning your powers, you're learning about your abilities from the story perspective as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, certainly. Okay. Speaking of the Jedi, you know, with the advanced class names, there's been some discussion about the names that were chosen, and of course,
I know where this is going.
Jedi Wizard is one of them, and can you provide any insight as to how that was? Because you know, it doesn't have a lot of, at least that I could find, or reading, and any of history in the Star Wars canon. Where did that come from?
You know, I don't know the real answer as to where it came from. What I can say is that we've noticed the commotion, and there may be announcements in the future.
Right, okay.
Regarding the Wizard.
So
which part of it is, I mean, obviously we we're creating our own universe, and we want to be original, right?
Yeah.
We don't feel necessarily tied to things that have come before.
Right.
But it was interesting to watch the community's reaction to that particular name.
Well, everybody thought that's got to be a German translation. Something's wrong there.
Right.
It's a sage. It's a seer, no question. You know, it's something else. But it was funny. So, so also, you know, tied to that, the Jedi class specifically, I know it's nothing you maybe can't say a lot about. You know, Jedi Knight has traditionally been a rank in the Jedi sort of order, but it's a class here. You know, and does that mean, I guess, by choosing that, does that preclude any kind of sort of, you start as a Padawan, eventually you'd make a Knight, but you're already going to, which you will, but there was also different types of, I don't know if I'm asking the question properly.
I think I know where you're going.
So, Jedi Consular was a role, always, but Jedi Knight was a rank.
Right, I gotcha.
So
well, and I think that we did kind of reverse that in the sense that we are looking at it as a role like the Consular. It's not a rank in our game.
Right.
So we haven't announced any details about ranks or anything like that in the game. I'm not even sure offhand, based on what the design team's doing, where that's headed. But yeah, for us, it is a role, not a rank.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Let's see here. Companions.
Okay.
So we haven't seen a ton about. We've heard all about them.
Yeah.
Not a lot revealed so far. I don't think any have been playable or anything.
No.
So the question is, there's a lot of questions regarding companions. It seems to be a very distinct choice. Obviously, it's an obvious one for BioWare because you know everything that's happened in the games previous. But it's a new choice in a way for an MMO. Sure, there have been sort of sidekicks and henchmen, but so when they were first announced, it seemed like they were announced with the definite intention to provide story and drama and comedy relief and everything. And over time, it seems like they're being sort of revealed through various interviews as maybe much more critical to your character's combat output and everything. So, you know, would you say that's fair to say? Or
okay, well, so it's a fine balance. I think our goal is always to make it so that people don't feel like they have to have a companion out, right? If you don't want to play, then you don't have to have a companion. Now, that said, there's two big factors, right, which you hit on, which is one, that companions definitely add to your story. They've got their own quests that you'll be able to go on and, you know, discover more, just like every other BioWare game, right?
Great, yeah.
And so they're a critical part of the story. I think in terms of combat, they can augment your combat abilities. So again, it's not a necessity, but it's another great way for us, and we've talked about this in the past, to help out with that grouping paradigm, right? It's like, I need a healer. Oh, I'm not a healer, my buddy's not a healer, but maybe we both have companions that have healing abilities, and so that's enough to get us through whatever quest or instance that we want to go on together.
Right.
So it's an augmentation. It's not necessarily a necessity.
Right. Okay. And I know if a lot can change between now and release, even after release, would you say that's a huge difference? Because there are some folks that really just want to be the solo, no pun intended, you know, sort of. That's got to come up a lot.
Yeah.
You know. Is there a way to say if you don't want to have a companion? Is there perhaps a way to specialize your character in a way that may give it a few extra points, for lack of a better term, if you don't choose to have one, or nothing like that on the books?
No, I think it just comes down to an augmentation. It's a choice, right? So you're not going to be gimped if you play without the companion. But again, I mean, our hope and the way that we're designing the game is we want them to be compelling enough that you enjoy having them out. They don't get in your way. They do help out. They do provide, you know, comic relief, sidekick type of thing, but also help out in combat.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so along those same lines, I think it was at Gamescom this came out, companions were mentioned as having kits that I guess allow them to have, I don't know how much you can say about that, but I guess we're all imagining before that, well, what happens if you kill or your healing companion runs away? Are you without it? So I guess this is done to alleviate that. You can always have a companion, you can equip kits on any companion that you like, or...
You know, honestly, I probably better stay away from that one because I don't know the full details.
Okay.
It's a better question for Daniel, who's here, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe I can hit him with that later. So, but that seems like it would add a lot of flexibility, for sure. So,
but yeah, as far as the kits, the idea there is that if you like a particular companion, right? If you really want to work with the Dashad, who we've shown with the Inquisitor, right, the big tough guy, we want to make sure that you can tweak him a little bit too, so that you're like, well. Yeah, you're on the right track, but all I don't want to say is that because it's still in development, I don't know the details on whether, you'll be able to say healer versus tank. Like, I don't know if you can go that drastic, but it might be more like, hey, I want him to deal more damage and not soak up as much damage, like a tank. I just want him to be more melee DPS. You can sort of do that.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, so sort of moving out of companions, I think my numbering system is correct. There was some. I think James Olin at Gamescom mentioned something about. He was in a video interview with one of the fan sites about. It was a question about flashpoints and how someone asked, well, you know, if you repeat a flashpoint, which had been said to be repeatable, you know, what decision counts? And I think he said it's always your last one. So if that's true, if you can just repeat a flashpoint and change your decision, you know, that I thought was supposed to matter.
So the reason I'm smiling here is because I think we have given distinctly different answers on that question,
okay.
and it's just another sign that it's still something that's in development, because I think we'd also in the past talked about they weren't going to be repeatable, then we said they were, and so the honest answer is they're still in development. We have, you know, he had said the last, but I think we've also gone through some interviews at one point in the development of the game where we said it was going to be your first decision, right, and then subsequent run-throughs would affect it. So the bottom line is, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I think for what it's worth, I think it's great. I mean, it's hard because you don't want to penalize players for making a. I mean, I would assume there'd be some error trapping in there for misclicks or whatnot, or disconnects. But
right.
I think it'd be great to have the choice actually matter.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be great. But